going to outnumber men, and when it's one man, one vote, it's also one woman, one vote. In consequence of which women will outnumber men, and you might live to see it, that the United States might choose to follow Pakistan and have a Benazir as president. They've never had a woman as president of the United States. And Britain has only had one, Margaret Thatcher. And so a tomorrow is coming when the ruling states in the world will not only have women ruling over them, but it will now become the general pattern for women to rule over men. Whereas Allah in the Quran says, Al-Rijalu Qawwamuna 'ala an-Nisa, that men have a measure of authority. This is not dictatorship over women. And there is a hadith which has not been contested for 1400 years, as far as I'm aware, that a people who choose a woman to rule over them would not be successful, said Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And so she gives birth to a baby boy, but the baby boy would not rule over her. But when she gives birth to a baby girl, the baby girl will rule over her. Because that's a world coming tomorrow where women will rule over men. We have completed 1 hour of this introduction to the feminist revolution. I don't need really to expand more on the subject and take up another 2 or 3 hours, which we can do. It is sufficient that we have given you the foundation. You've listened to the lectures in the past. In this Science of the Last Day of the Modern Age, there are 3 essays on this subject that you will find. One is the feminist revolution in the last age. The other is the philosophy of gender in Islam. And the last one is woman and paradise in Islam. I want to read the last piece of this last essay. Islam has never sought to put an equal sign between the sexes. Woman can neither be studied nor understood in a context independent of man. The two are inseparable. The Prophet declared that women were the twin halves of men. The Quran confirmed their interdependence when it declared, they are your garments, and you are their garments. When this philosophy of gender was applied to Muslim society, the night never attempted to become day. Rather, night and day eternally longed for each other. And so we were never subjected to the abominable phenomenon that European civilization is now exporting to the rest of the world, of the day mating with the day, and vice versa. Women in such a society not only fulfilled all their sacred functional duties as wives and mothers, and thus contributed in a significant way to the preservation of health, strength, and stability of the family. But in addition, they preserve both their femininity as well as their fertility. And so the Muslim woman remained truly and enchantingly a woman. An age that produced the celibate priest, who obstinately insisted that one had to turn away from woman in order to turn to God. In such an age, Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam responded by declaring, and what a man is this to speak like this. He said, 3 things have been made dear to me in this world of yours: perfume, woman, and prayer. And so Islam rejected both celibacy and rejected woman as an object, while recognizing woman like prayer to be a medium through which a man might journey to paradise. We now have a brief question and answer session. I can't take all your questions, I know. But if you have any question, inshallah we shall attempt to answer it before we turn to the next session, which is not going to be as fascinating as this one. Any questions? Yes. We have a microphone? Let's turn this on a little faster. At the back. Yeah. Right. Okay. Over here.
Assalamu alaikum. Maulana, you mentioned earlier with regard to OPEC controlling, obviously, the oil production. And if I understand correctly, I think the dollar and the price of oil are linked. So does it work such that by keeping the price of oil low, the price of the dollar stays high? I was wondering if we just probably elaborate quickly on that then.
Okay, we're going to have to hold with that question.
Okay.
Let us stay with the feminist revolution. We'll come back to that, inshallah. Yes, Davi. His question is about the link between the price of oil and the dollar. Whereas we were talking about the sale of oil, that oil cannot be bought without using the dollar. The price of oil is a different subject. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
If we know from the life of the Prophet ﷺ, is that okay? That Khadija radiallahu anhu was a woman who worked, and so we know that there is some permissibility for women to work and to have their own property. What criterion do you use to say when it's appropriate and when it's not?
Okay. A working woman, well, my mother worked all her life. And your mother also worked. And all mothers work. So we have to do something more than use the word working woman, because all women work. What we're talking about here is a woman who is full-time employed. Full-time employed outside of the home. That's what we're talking about. That kind of a working woman, because all women work. How do we judge? What is the criterion by which we judge the subject about full-time work outside of the home? When women entered into the workforce, they did so as part of the initial steps of the feminist revolution, to take them out of the home. But there's also exploitation, in that the A woman who is now employed full-time out of the home was paid half